Hey everyone, welcome to the Learning Ladder. I thought I'd do a flip through of the Prentice Hall Science Explorer. This is the animals. Okay, so this one has got 5 chapters. So we've got what is an animal, integrating mathematics, animal symmetry, sponges, worms, mollusks, arthropods, insects, and so on. Then we move on to fish, birds and mammals, animal behaviour. And then there is a reference section at the back. I actually do really like the reference sections in these particular books because they give you lots of different study skills specifically for science. I think that's always helpful. And then there is an activity section here. So you have got projects throughout. So we have got design and build an animal habitat, some bird watching, and they've characterized it in terms of skills. We've got opportunities for long-term inquiry, exploration and inquiry before reading, reinforcement of key concepts, and so on. And then it also has some tech and design and some math use. So like always, we'll have a look at a few different chapters. So we're talking about our career in science, and this is an alligator's sensitive side with Daphne Soares, who has a PhD in biology. So it's all about her and why she became a scientist, or specifically why she was interested in alligators. So kind of a Q&A with her. Then we've got a career link for writing in science. So suppose you are a reporter for a newspaper, radio or TV broadcast and you've conducted this interview. Write several paragraphs about Daphne Soares, emphasising how curiosity and accidental discovery can play a role in the science career. So that's an interesting assignment to do. Then we've got chapter 1. So it kind of reminds me, just on appearances only, of Harcourt. Very, very similar, but this is obviously for middle school, whereas Harcourt was for elementary. I'm pretty sure they probably do have a, I don't know for sure. I'm assuming that they have a middle school level for Harcourt as well. I don't know though for sure. So our chapter preview, what is an animal, animal symmetry, and so on. So here's our project. So design and build an animal habitat. And then section 1, what is an animal? We've got our reading preview, which goes key concepts, key terms, and then asking questions. So we've got our section over here, which again is very similar to Harcourt, so it gives you the overarching theme. So it isn't an animal. You're going to carefully examine each of the organisms that you're given and decide which ones are animals. So we've got some information here talking about levels of organisation, so cells, tissue, organ, systems, functions of animals. We've got an activity over here. So design an animal with a new and different way of moving. Your design should help your animal obtain food or get out of danger. That's an interesting one. Interesting project. And we've got classification of animals. And then our assessment again. So we've got target reading, skills, asking questions. So use the answers to the questions you wrote about the headings to help you answer the questions below. So 1A, defining what is the basic unit of structure and function in an animal, and so on. Then we have our writing and in science activity, which is a few paragraphs about how your classroom pet or a pet at home performs the basic functions of an animal. Okay, so I think that was an interesting start. So you've got your information to read, there's lots of diagrams, you've got some assessments, so understanding terms, vocabulary if you like, and some writing projects. So let's have a look at section 2. Is on animal symmetry. There's an activity here, making symmetry with triangles. Talking about the mathematics of symmetry. Lovely visual pictures, photos even. And then there's a section 2 assessment. Again, we've got some key concepts, and then we've got our at-home activity. So observation of animals. Section 3, we're comparing and contrasting, making a table. Some math skills over here, calculating a rate. And then a consumer lab, so soak it up. You've got a table here for data that they have to complete. They're going to make predictions, perform the experiments, observe, draw conclusions, predict and communicate. And again, lots very visual with the diagrams and things. Then here's another article. So this is Science and Society, Coral Reefs in Danger. And what would you do about it? So identify the problem, analyse the options and find a solution. And then worms, delightful. Life cycle of a dog tapeworm. No, thank you. That's what flea medication's for. And worm medication. Okay, section for assessment. And then we've got a skills lab on earthworm responses. Interesting. And then the study guide. So your key concepts, key terms for each. So I guess you could notebook with those maybe. And then review and assessment. So it's completing the diagram, reviewing key terms, true or false, and then there's a writing in science. So this is about a letter to a friend that compares corals and jellyfish, how they are alike and how they are different. More checking concepts, thinking critically, math practice, applying skills, and a chapter project, writing a summary about what you've learned about your animal. Okay, so that's the first chapter. Then we've got a standardized test prep. So we've got a sample question with the answer, and then a constructed response, and then we're on to chapter 2. So let's skip a couple of chapters in. Let's have a look. This looks like an interesting one. So we're looking at section 3 is all about amphibians, the advantages of being green, life cycle of a frog. There's a go online section that gives you the web code and the place to visit. I don't know how that works, I haven't tried that yet, but we will find out. There's an activity here, webbing along. Section 3 assessment. And then we're on to section 4 again. We've got an activity here about snakes and how they eat. So I think it takes a lot of the concepts of hot cut, but I actually, if I was to compare the two, I like the fact this has got more activities, especially my favourite parts are the writing and science. I really like those ideas. I think they're really quite interesting. So for example, write a packaging label. They'll be pasted onto the eggshell of a reptile. Include on your label a list of the contents of the shell and a 1-paragraph description of the egg's ability to survive in a dry environment. That's a really interesting writing assignment. You know, it's not the mundane stuff that you would see all the time. So I'm actually quite impressed. Okay, so let's look at the last chapter. And then we'll look at some of the study skills section. So chapter 5, I think I've skipped a page, one sec. Okay, so that was from the study section, which we will look at in a second. So this one is all about behaviour, animal behaviour, response and such, by instinct, where it's learned or conditioned behaviour. We've got a section 1 assignment again, our activity, writing assignment activity is actually quite interesting. How would you interview Dr. Pavlov? That would be a fun one. Design your own lab with all the different stages that they need to complete. Talking about patterns of behaviour. We've got our assessment section here. Skills lab. Tracking migration. Again, writing in science. So here is our study guide section. So let me just get through the standardized text prep stuff. So we've got an article here, The Secret of Silk. Talking about the Silk Road. So a social studies activity. There's a language arts activity as well, The Goddess of the Silkworm. Counting on Caterpillars. Math, and then Think Like a Scientist with the skills handbook section at the back. Making measurements, conducting a scientific investigation. Technology design skills. Creating data table and graphs for math. A math review, mean, median and mode. Area and circumference and so on. And then we go on to reading comprehension skills, study guide, vocabulary, safety tips, and then the glossary is obviously at the back, and then the index. So yes, first impressions, I I really do like it. It definitely reminds me of Harcourt. I really like some of the interesting writing assignments that they've got. So I'm thinking about incorporating some of this into our biology after next term, so in January. Don't know if I'm 100% sure yet, because I want to look ahead and see what's in our sciences that are currently doing, but I just feel like I like the, I guess, multidisciplinary or cross-curricular approach. The fact that it's got language arts in here, it's got writing, science writing, math and everything else, and that's one of the reasons I liked Harcourt. I think this is actually better in the way it presents it, so I'm considering adding it in. I'll let you know if we decide to, you know, and how we would schedule it and everything. Obviously we wouldn't do every single thing in here because we already have a science curriculum which we love, but my daughter really likes science, so, and she really loves animals, so I like to add, you know, interest-based learning where I can. And particularly I really like the writing assignments in this, because I think they're interesting, they're engaging. It's not, you know, your run-of-the-mill things like this one, you know, for a worm magazine. You know, it's just interesting. I really do like it. So yes, that is Prentice Hall's Science Explorer. So thanks so much for watching. Take care, see you soon.